I love that piece.
You want to see some really cool art? Come in the back.
Let's go check this out.
The view from here wasn't originally to pick up that view, it was to pick up this view behind you. Wow. We're really surrounded by water at this spot right here. You've got the pond behind you, you've got the waterfalls over there, you got these big waterfalls there.
Well-maintained landscaping makes the water feature look good. The only time that I work hard on that is when the leaves come down, but I'm in a woods.
I'm Greg Wittstock, the Pond Guy. This is my channel, Greg Wittstock, the Pond Guy, and you're about to see one of my all-time favorite projects that Brian created at our local market did. Not just for the pond, but the whole property. Brian, is that fair enough to say this is one of our all-time favorites?
Definitely one of my all-time favorites.
Focus on a lot of people and a lot of different water features, but how many can I actually say it's one of my all-time favorites? So let's go check out another aquascape water feature. Wow. And I love how you have positioned the stacked slate urn at the end of that bridge. How would you introduce Peggy, one of our best customers, to the vlog channel?
I would say Peggy is your dream customer.
Her vision can match yours, can't it?
Her vision and her imagination can match mine.
Your visions are mine.
Yeah, well, her attention to detail is beyond 99% of our customers, and you'll see that through the gardening. Like, she just loves the gardening. In fact, we bumped into each other a week ago, and she admitted she had a problem with plants. Right? She's like,
if there's something to be addicted to, plants might be a good thing.
I mean, look at these cool. What are these? Trumpet flowers? Like, these are awesome.
They're tropical. So yeah. I bring them in. There's another one.
If your yard looked just as good as this patio space, it'd be incredible. So before you even see the main water feature, you see this. And Peggy, I think we were sitting up here one day and we said, gosh, like, this is such an incredible view. We should really do something on the other side over there.
Because I told you I couldn't see my waterfalls.
Yeah, you couldn't see your waterfalls.
Brian goes, I'll fix that.
And that's an incredible waterfall. Look at all the plants around it. And then from up here, you can't help but notice how big her fish have gotten. So you can see the koi pond way down in the distance. And Peggy, you're not kidding. They've gotten big, really big. And they're beautiful. And then as you come down the steps, you would never know this, but there's this unbelievable waterfall that you couldn't see until you've gotten to right about this point. Is that not awesome or what? That's amazing.
So how did you want to showcase this incredible property?
Where do you start,
I know,
right?
that's what I'm asking.
But you can tell Peggy's addicted to not just the water features, but the outdoor. The landscape is like, it's just perfect. And this is her imagination, right? Like she says, I want this here, I want the color here, I want the color here. But we met Peggy, gosh, probably in 96. Back in Geneva.
Even before 96.
Yeah. So Dave Kelly sold her her first pond. I remember this so vividly because a year later you said the pond's not big enough for my fish. You said you were going to be moving to Barrington, and I said, well, why would we spend the money to make this pond bigger if we're going to build a dream pond there? You were kind of shocked because you wanted to make your pond bigger, and I said, no. But you called me probably 2 months later and you said, I can't stand it anymore. I want the pond bigger anyways, right? So we made the pond a little bit bigger there.
A little bit bigger.
You are addicted.
With a stepping stone.
With a stepping stone in there. And then we came out here, and what I remember so vividly about the first time we came out here was looking at the vast property. I knew right away we could do this, but tell Greg what happened when the builder started interviewing me about the water feature.
Well, he didn't want Brian because he wanted his guys, and I said that nobody's touching this pond but Brian.
Amen. Amen. What year was that this was created?
2005.
So this is 14 years old now, this property.
Correct.
And every time I come, it's evolving.
It is. Now things are getting too big. We took out a trunk of this tree, and you just have to adapt.
Well, and that's gardening. So
absolutely.
You're constantly changing and adapting. Right. But the great thing about the pond is you don't have to change anything with the pond. As it evolves, it just gets better and better. Like this moss wasn't here before, and the moss looks incredible on that. And so this pond is actually this is a bog filter up here. Below that gravel up in there, it goes down 4 feet deep as it comes up through the rock and
that's how we get the water quality with all the fish.
And then the huge stream, like the stream works as a giant filter as well. As that water moves through all that rock and gravel, it's pulling out more and more sediment. I love how the stream twists and turns. So for a while it disappears and goes way over there, which gives purpose then for the land bridge. Now this is a different type of bridge. This is a culvert pipe that actually goes underneath, and then it allows the dirt to go right over the top. This log, and it's been here since 2005.
The only thing it's missing is a turtle right here. I love how the back waterfalls draws you across, and then you have those two chairs right there. I don't want to leave. You can feel the stress just melting away back here.
One of the things we noticed, this was probably 3 years ago, the pathway came across, and what's my biggest pet peeve with a pathway or bridge?
It doesn't lead to anything.
Right? There wasn't a patio or anything here. It just kind of led to landscape. And the idea was the view from here wasn't originally to pick up that view. It was to pick up this view behind you. We're really surrounded by water at this spot right here. You've got the pond behind you, you've got the waterfalls over there, you got these big waterfalls there.
As Ed the pond professor would proclaim, all of those negative ions are coming at you from those waterfalls, and it's just so relaxing. How often does this flood with water?
Every time it rains more than 2 inches.
Nice
And then we
creek
get a
moving
creek.
through.
Yeah.
So that's why we had to do a pondless down there, and we
Yeah.
had to keep that tank up a little bit higher than the natural swale because she's seen the water get pretty high. And so no matter what, even if it gets really, really high, the pondless water can take in that water without it disrupting what's going on over there.
So this is truly a labor of love.
It's my job. I'm retired, so.
Well, you do a good job at your job.
Thank you.
It
Thank
makes
you
our
very much.
art look fantastic. But talk a little bit about the maintenance, water features compared to the landscape, because people are thinking, that are gardeners are thinking water features are hard to maintain, and we say the
They're not.
landscaping is more maintenance
It
than the
is.
water features.
It is, yeah. Well-maintained landscaping makes the water feature look good. The only time that I work hard on that is when the leaves come down. But I'm in a woods. But then you guys have helped and started netting them. So.
Yep, we net it for you in the fall.
And that
Yeah.
helps a lot.
Something I hear all the time, Greg, from potential pond owners is where's the best place to put a pond? Like, do you put it in full sun, do you put it in full shade? And really the best place for it is wherever it looks best from the house.
Right.
Right?
I agree.
To me, a
Yeah.
pond in full shade, there's something about like sitting underneath the natural canopy of the trees that makes it
Right.
so much more relaxing compared to a pond in full sun. Now a pond in full sun, you can do a lot more with the landscape and stuff.
You
The
get
pond in
algae
full shade is just like, it's
Yeah.
a different
It's
feeling
just-
when you sit next to it.
It's very, very peaceful. It's fun to do garden work if that's there.
I guarantee you, every day you look out to see what your fish are doing.
Absolutely.
It draws your attention outside.
Absolutely.
So one of the things we did different with this pond, the whole pond overflows into a pondless system down here. Now we did this back in 2005 before we had aqua-block. So this was a massive, massive hole. I had to make the hole big enough to store all the water from that stream and the surface area of this pond. So it was a hole that went down about 7 feet deep, and it went about 20 feet that way and about 10 feet this way. So in fact, all of these trees, this sumac here and all these hostas are over the top of the tank. And so we took the liner, rolled it back up to the backside of these boulders, and then just backfilled dirt over the top of it. So the tank actually goes from here to here, almost all the way back to where they're sitting over there. And then the landscape just sits over the top of it. So all the leaves that fall in here then just deposit down here, and you just come down here and occasionally you take this stuff off, throw it down over there. But it gives the pond a very cool negative edge, especially when you're sitting down there. Another thing people always ask is, how long will wood last? This is a tree stump that we found from the property when building it. As long as it's underwater, it'll last forever. It's where it gets wet, dry, wet, dry. In fact, Peggy said finally one of her logs broke apart. This was a big one that we had sitting down over here. Because it wasn't underwater, Mother Nature finally said enough and knocked the thing over.
Brian, I love the bluestone, especially with the greens. It really pops off of the greens.
Aqua blue stone is one of my favorite stones to use, and it's because of that. It looks so good with the landscape. The Ed's old pond had the aqua blue.
My house.
Your house has it. But very rarely do customers use it, and the reason they don't do it is it's a little bit more expensive, but because it's so dense, you get less pieces per ton.
It's heavy rock.
So you got to order that much more to use it. It's also very tricky to piece together. It's got a lot of weird angles and stuff. And so it really only looks good, in my opinion, when you're using massive pieces. When you have to start stacking this stuff, it looks very fake and artificial.
And then look at the different textures of the rock. So you have a square one, you have more of a triangle there, and then of course you have areas where there's big rocks, and then you have areas where there's grass just growing over, and sedums and ground covers and hostas. You can't even see the rock right here. Underneath there's an aqua blue, but you can't see it. And so this is how you hide an edge. You use different textures of rocks, you use different types of landscaping to soften it up. This looks natural. It doesn't have that ring of pearl look that people so many often do with flagstones around the edge, or even boulders that aren't incorporated with different sizes.
The forest grass coming over the edge is so nice. And look at the creeping Jenny Like just kind of going in between the joints of even the little ones over there.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
just amazing.
This is why we call this art. It truly is art.
The other great thing that Peggy's done is her placement of art throughout the property is just perfect. Like look at the little fish in the forest grass over there.
It looks like it's swimming in water.
Look at the heron. I mean, that is cool.
A heron
on top of the turtle.
turtle. I love that piece.
You want to see some really cool art? Come in the back.
Let's go check this out.
When did you decide you wanted that? Like, where did you see that first and say, I think I need something over there?
The flower show. I had a different one, which you'll see. Moved it. I love this one.
You had one of the original ceramic urns
Right.
that we carried way back when.
Right.
We stopped carrying the ceramic urns because they would break in shipping.
Oh,
These
well,
made out of
I
the
got
fiber
one.
resin don't break. But it's the very first thing I was telling you as we were sitting down there. What I love is when you come up your driveway, you can't help but notice this right away. So you're kind of torn. Do I go left and go towards the house, or do I come this way? And so what do most people do? Do they come across the bridge, or?
I lead them.
Yeah.
It depends on where I want to go. But this was to be dead center across the bridge.
Is it lit up at night?
Yep.
Oh, I see the
Inside,
lights, yeah.
around.
I always say at night, like you pay attention to the splash now, but at night when the lights come on, it literally looks like silver's falling off
It
the
does.
thing. And with a little light at the top, then this little area right here actually looks like a candle sitting on top. If it's placed in the right direction, it'll put wavy marks all over the canopy of the trees. And
I'll have to look.
so which way do you go now?
Go this way.
Yeah, yeah.
So these are the two bears, and they're waving at you, pulling you down here.
And the bears spin, right?
Yep. Yep.
So
there are
cool.
dancing bears. Josh Toby, the artist. Then we did the dragon. Some kids think it's a moose. I just colored.
I see it.
Colored.
That's great. What
It
is
is.
this? It's the
Shiny.
coolest tree ever.
Bottom.
It's just honeysuckle. Like, look at the shape of it. It's so awesome.
I know. I couldn't cut it out.
Peggy, after we finished doing the water feature there, was it 3, 4, 5 years later?
About 3.
You said, I wanted to start developing this side of the property. You'd pretty much cleared out a lot of the buckthorn, and there weren't too many plants back here yet, but the very first thing you want to do was get boulders. And so for your birthday, you wanted boulders, right?
I did. I got rock. I just thought it would look more natural. If that's a creek and everything, you wouldn't have that isolated. You'd have the same kind of rock out here.
The rock itself, to me, is a lot like some of the art that she has out here.
Right.
And that's a cool rock.
I have to say, this is probably my favorite overall property I think I've ever vlogged on my channel. I could live here. I don't know who couldn't live here, but I'm so impressed by every detail in here. And it truly is art. The reason that I say I love my art and I love my job is I do love my job. I get to travel around and visit incredible people and incredible properties. And I do believe this is total artwork. How could you look at this and not think it's artwork? It's not very often that we have a consumer's vision who will match Brian's. Brian's the top designer in the world. There's not a single person in the world that builds more decorative water features every year than Brian. And to have a customer like Peggy whose vision will match Brian's, it's just a unique combination is what I'll say. We're trying to find people all of the time that want career opportunities building water features. We like to say we will hire for attitude and we will train for aptitude. Every certified aquascapes contractor that I know is passionate about their own work, and we have an entire network of certified aquascapes contractors all over the world looking for passionate people. If you're interested in a career building art, please check out the link below to find a certified aquascape contractor in your area, and you too can be building art and loving your job. I love my art and I love my job.